Ever feel like your business is one big idea away from soaring, but you're stuck because you can't get the funding you need? Well, you're not alone. The process can be daunting, confusing, and leave many business owners feeling stuck and frustrated. But don't worry, we've got you covered today. We're bringing two experts who know exactly how to help you navigate the challenges. Matthew Meehan and Luigi Rosabianca, if I can say it right. If I don't butcher it, I apologize. Will share their insights and strategies to help you unlock the capital you need to thrive. So tune in today's Profit with a Plan podcast and discover the solutions that'll take your business to the next level. Hey entrepreneurs, are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? If you're like most of us business owners, increasing your profitability is always on your mind, and you're probably looking for ways to grow your revenue while growing your company. Well, you found a podcast that shares ideas to help you do just that. I'm Marcia Riner, known as the Profit Booster and a business growth strategist. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability, guide your growth, and plans for your future exit. Because building a highly profitable and sale-ready business creates a win-win scenario. That's more money now and a windfall when it's time to let go. And I want to share strategies that I've learned with you on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. But before we get started, I have something really special for you. If you ever wanted to supercharge your business, avoid profit plateaus, operational headaches, or growth roadblocks, well, I've created a brand new Profit Booster playbook just for you. You'll uncover 3 essential strategies and the quick way to take action on them. This is not just a single-page report. It's filled with impactful strategies, actionable steps, and expert guidance to help you elevate your profits. Go download it for free at boostingprofit.com. All right, listeners, have we got a treat for you? All right, listeners, have I got a treat for you? My 2 guests today are powerhouses. Matthew Meehan. Matt is known as he knows money, and more specifically, how to get it. You don't spend over 2 decades on Wall Street without picking up a trick or two. Now he specializes in helping small and medium-sized businesses, both private and public, obtain the capital they need to succeed. Through performance-based sales initiatives, business development strategies, and guidance for financing and credit solutions, Matt has been making it rain for entrepreneurs from the East Coast to the West. Now my second guest, Luigi Rosabianca, is ready to talk strategy. Luigi's the guy you want in your corner. With a diverse educational background in architecture, law, and political science, they don't call him the professor for nothing. He's the strategist to his core. His experience allows him to accurately and precisely analyze your business's strengths, identify areas of weaknesses, and customize actionable solutions regardless of the size or industry. If you want to grow your business and grow it well, Luigi's the man with the plan. Guys, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Oh, thank you for having us here.
Awesome. I'm so excited. Okay, so I've got this has been something that's been in the works for a little while, audience. We've been chatting on the other side. I was a guest on their podcast, which is called The Liquid Lunch, which is a real fun podcast where we talk about really neat ideas on business growth. But we strategize the idea that most businesses need money, right? For something that they're doing. All they need is just an influx of money to make that business go the next level. And so I was really excited when the boys said, yes, they'd come on my show as well. So guys, how in the world, I mean, your introduction said this is how you stepped in, but what was it about business financing and growth that dragged you into this kind of place?
Oh, well, I spent the better part of 2 decades on Wall Street, and I helped a lot of larger corporations and companies that were going public access capital through a network of investors that I created, that I met, relationships. I managed over $150 million. And honestly, I got tired of the inner frameworks of big corporate America. So I decided to pack up New York and leave, headed down to Orlando, Florida. We weren't happy, so we moved to the happiest place in the world, the happiest place on earth. So as I was doing that, I was actually working with an old mentor of mine, and he was actually in the small business lending arena. So I started lending money to small businesses, right? Off my own balance sheet, my own capital out there, different ways to lend them money. It was either equity and debt or a combination of equity and debt. But I noticed really quick that these businesses actually, they needed more than just a check. Okay. Small business owners, for some reason, have in their mind, they think money solves everything. But you know what? They think they need a gazillion dollars when they only need a tenth of that to probably get them through their problem. They're good at throwing money at problems. They're good at filling leaky buckets with money, but that leaky bucket still leaks and they never actually fix the core issue. So that's when me and Luigi teamed up and we decided, hey, if we're going to lend money and we're going to invest in these businesses and we're going to help them get to the next level, we actually have to go in and actually help them and dig under the hood a little bit more.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Well, absolutely. Throwing money at the problem just makes it burn up faster, right? So having a good solid plan with that. And Luigi, you're the man with the plan, which singing my song here. Where did you get into this? I mean, you had political science. Come on.
I, I was that kid in his 20s. It took a while to figure out what he was going to do. I wanted to become an architect. I thought because I was playing with Lego blocks as a kid, that meant becoming an architect. Little did I know it was back-breaking drafting before they developed CAD design. That's how old I am. But I'm going to piggyback on your analogy of the fire, right? I like to flip the coin on the other side. When clients come to us and look for financing, I want to make certain that fire is already in place, because all capital does is accelerates the fire, right? If the business is not kindling, if the business is not burning, like Matt said, you're just wasting precious resources, right? So financing and capital is an accelerant. It's not going to fix any problem, right? So we as Americans have this uncanny knack of treating the symptoms and not the disease. So we could have a business that has really poor lead flow and poor marketing and poor operations, and they just think more capital is going to fix that. No, let's fix the inherent problem. And then once it's fixed, we'll pour fuel on it to accelerate that growth. And that's where Matt and I, quite frankly, are a wonderful 1-2 punch, because he procures the capital, I make certain things are running properly, and it's that 1 + 1 = 3 scenario.
I love it. I love it. And it's so important. I know that people, especially business owners, they're busy putting out fires and chasing more customers, that they forget about some of the foundational things, and that time to look inward at their business to say, what really is the problem and why am I constantly putting out these fires, right? And so I think that that's a fantastic, as you say, 1-2 punch to be able to give them the growth that they so desire. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We're not talking about market domination and running after Amazon. We're just talking about sustainable, progressive growth, right?
Marcia, the large companies don't need us. They already have their C-suite of professionals. They have their board of directors. We're talking about that humble, small to medium-sized American company that doesn't have access to the professional resources and the C-suite. And that's where the three of us come into play, because we're able to add value at, frankly, a very reasonable cost, because we're basically outsourced talent. They don't need us in-house, right? So it's that classic, I love this analogy. It's like, when you move the rudder 2 inches, that entire ship steers around. And that's really all these small businesses need.
Just those little itty bitty corrections in it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so when we're talking about this, Matt, and we're looking at financing, what kind of things would you finance? I mean, are you financing projects or are you financing the business as a whole?
You can finance it all, right? It just depends on where you need to be. Unfortunately, everybody hears these Silicon Valley stories and, they think that they can go out and they can raise money and they never have to make a profit.
Sure, those are the unicorns, right?
The truth of the matter is that's not real life. Yeah, they're getting tons of money and they're burning tons of money. The investors don't care because they're investing in 100 different companies, hoping 100, if not 1,000, hoping one works out, right? That one unicorn can change the investor's portfolio so they can afford to lose. What they don't tell you is those 1,000 business owners, that the 999 that lost, the portfolio managers, the venture capital funds, they really don't care about them. right?
Mm,
So this is where this just throwing money at a problem, we need more money to grow at all costs. It's not right, right? When a company is growing, you need to manage the momentum properly, right? But how do you get the money to get started, right? That's what everybody wants to know. How do I get money? Well, it's really simple. And you said it before, the foundation needs to be built properly, right?
mm.
Too many people get into business. The auto mechanic knows how to fix cars. A construction worker can build a house. The cobbler, guess what? The cobbler can make shoes, but his kids' shoes usually have holes in it, right? At the end of the day. Well, they're really good at what they do, but they may not be good at business. And I don't say this to be harsh, but it's just the reality. Doctors are not good at financials. I know this for a fact. I had a ton of them as clients. I still have them as clients, right? But I can't diagnose cold, let alone a serious health issue, right? They are so busy working with patients. I mean, have you been to a doctor's office? They're in, they're out. You get 15
Right.
minutes with them and they're on to the next one because that's how they make their money. But because they're moving so fast, they don't have their foundation built properly. And if you want to grow into, let's use a doctor's office, for example, into multiple offices and multiple practices, if that foundation has cracks in it, right, that skyscraper and that business is going to fall down. So setting up your business entity is number one, right? Setting up the proper business bank accounts and business banking relationships from day one. I would actually recommend that everybody start a business bank account, not only with a large traditional national bank like Chase because of their technology, but also set up a relationship with a credit union, right? Credit unions tend to have more rates. And let's be honest, they're a lot more they're easier to deal with because they're local and in the community. You're usually not just a number to them if you make yourself known there, right?
Nice.
Um,
Nice. And I
and
think, having on that team people like attorneys, right? You don't need them now, but it's nice to know one when you do need one, so you don't have to start and hunt the relationship down. That's why I love the idea that you're sharing with the banker, is that you may not need money now, but if you have a relationship with that credit union or the local bank, they're going to be, and walking in, right? Not just doing the ATM, but walking in and meeting these people, they're going to be more apt to help you, right?
yeah, relationship capital is huge. It's probably better than cash in your business, right? If you have a lot of good relationships out there, you can actually get access to whatever you want. We're big believers in relationship capital. Most people, what they need to actually do, their first hire, and they should not shy away from this, is a good bookkeeper and a good CPA, right? Because if you want to get money that's not going to kill your business and you've been in business for 2 years or more and you want to go to that bank and finally get money because they usually require 2 years in business, they're going to ask you for full financials. If you can't produce full financials or a financial package, I mean, Marcia, you know this, right? You go into a business, you say, "Show me your financials." Yeah, we haven't updated since 2016, but my CPA is working on it. Fire that CPA, get a new one, right? Your
Exactly. My
CPA
income
needs to have
shows,
your
but my expenses aren't inputted, right?
You mean
So
I
they have
can't use the
something, but not all
shoebox?
of it.
You mean I can't use the shoebox with receipts?
You're definitely dating yourself, Luigi.
even the smaller solopreneurs that are out there doing things, stop accepting Zelle payments, right?
Oh,
Don't
right.
use Zelle.
Or
You
Venmo.
grow up, get a business bank account. Don't use Venmo. Put the deposits in there, right? To go back to on what we finance and how we can finance things, we use the three C's, right? Cash flow, credit, or collateral. Okay. You don't need all three of them. If you have all three of them, you're going to get better rates and terms, but you only really need one to get some type of funding for your business.
Nice.
You know,
Nice. That opens the door for a lot of growing businesses because, come on, we got you business owners. We know that every dollar in your household is in that company, right? So you don't have the luxury to say, oh, well, I've got a little extra reserve over here, which is probably, a pipe dream. You're putting all your blood, sweat, tears, nights, weekends, savings into that business to grow it. So having opportunities, as Matt just mentioned, that you need one of those three, right?
yeah, you just need one of those, right? Some are better than others. Obviously, banks like collateral because they want to know how they're going to get paid back.
Right.
If this is just a hobby to you and it's not really a business and they lend you money, oh, how am I getting paid back? Cash flow, revenue-based financing is going to be more expensive. There's a time and a place for it. But if you've only been in business for 3 months, unless you're using investor money, you're not going to get financing anywhere else outside of cash flow financing. So to use
Okay.
your example, if you're using Venmo, the only deposits going into your bank account are from Venmo. No cash flow lender is even going to look at you. I don't care if you're doing 100,000 a month in deposits. They're just going to not think it's real. It's just not widely accepted at this time, right?
Got it.
Um, Collateral,
I think
obviously.
hang on a second. Let's talk about the cash flow one more step. So if I've got a young business, say it's under a year old or maybe even just a little over a year, and they've just secured a longer term contract, right? Where this company is going to agree to buy their product consistently for a year. That's future cash flow, right? So that's something that can do that, or subscriptions that are promised but not paid yet. Is that something that can be counted?
So it's going to depend, right? And I say this because who is the end purchaser? Is it just a bunch of consumers? It's going to be
Right.
harder to do. If it's a larger corporation that's giving you a purchase order, that's going to be tough because in order to fulfill that purchase order, you're going to need financing to get the purchase, to get the materials for the purchase and put it together, right? So you in a younger business, it's going to be hard to get purchase order financing, right?
Okay.
I know everybody sees that on Shark Tank and everything else, but
Right? Come on.
yeah.
10 times EBITDA, right?
But
Okay.
purchase order financing, yeah. Cash flow, when I say cash flow and revenue-based financing, it's the amount of money that you deposit in and out of your account every single month, right?
Okay.
So these cash flow-based lenders out there, what they'll do is here's a loose formula for you to use. They'll give you 10% of your annual revenue, right? So as long as you don't have a lot of negative days, you're managing your bank account properly, right? There's money going in and out. They really want to see over $15,000 a month go in and out. And they'll give you, let's say, $15,000, right? To start you off. Probably be about 12 months on that, right? But it's paid back quickly. It's paid back on a weekly basis, right? So they'll take their money back. That's how they mitigate their risk.
And those rates, are they up there with like the paycheck loans? Are they a super high interest rate kind of financing?
So I don't want to get too technical. It's not exactly an interest rate. What they're doing is they're buying future receivables that don't exist yet at a discounted price today. So
Okay.
the example, let's say you need $10,000. I'm going to borrow $14,000. I'm going to buy $14,000 worth of your receivables. In exchange, you're going to pay me back $14,000 for the $10,000 I give you today over a set period of time.
Got it.
So it's not really an APR, and that's how they get around usury laws, right? To be honest with you, but it could be 25, 30, 40% even on some of these.
But if it's still not a complete loss, if you're going to take that loan, if you're looking at, oh, well, the interest rates nowadays are 7-8% or, under this rate and I'm paying 45, right? But what you're getting is you're getting access to something you need now. And if you're smart about it, and you only take one of those and not multiple loans like that, and you can manage the repayment schedule and get it paid off, you now bought yourself the opportunity that you were looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to have a specific purpose and use case for the money. So anytime anybody wants to work with us and get one of those, we sit down and we do the math and see how it'll affect their business. Now, it's also helpful if you're in a pinch and you need money quickly because they can fund it and inside of 5 hours. Right, we can get these deals funded. Yeah, I funded $10 million on a deal like this inside of 72 hours.
Yikes, that's a lot of money on a short-term rate.
Well, the client had an opportunity to go out and buy another business and needed the money, right?
That's it. And that's the thing that I think people forget is that if you have great cash flow, you have opportunities that present themselves, like buying this great business, right? And I'm sure you ran the numbers and it made sense to do that kind of loan. And in a short period of time, the revenue from that company would offset the, expense that you had to pay to get in. But wow, that's why Luigi and I are always looking at how can we get this company stronger, right?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Marcia. It's opportunity cost, right? Imagine a seasonal e-commerce retailer and you're approaching October. And you need inventory for December Christmas push. What are your options if you're a startup or a new company, right? Your options are really limited, but that inventory can churn in 3 to 4 months. So sometimes those short-term solutions work best depending on the business models. Now, having said that, what Matt was leaning towards earlier was if you create the proper fundamentals, you'll never need to rely upon those sort of draconian solutions, right? Because you would have had nurtured solid business credit and great trade lines. You've got wonderful accounting and bookkeeping protocols in place. So if I need to generate a P&L, I can generate one in 5 minutes, not in 5 months, right?
Right.
So those are the types of triggers that small businesses need to have in place to be able to capitalize on opportunities.
Love that. And I love the idea of hiring a bookkeeper, not Aunt Susie, to do your books and do it early on. And I mean, there's some great bookkeeping organizations out there that are not charging thousands and thousands of dollars to manage your receipts and incoming and outgoing and getting you prepared for it. They may not do your taxes, but they're still going to be able to keep your books in line and keep you aware. Because as far as I'm concerned, your bookkeeping is data that will help you make decisions going forward, right?
Marcia, you know this. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Wow. Okay. So we talked a lot about cash flow. So I cut you off, Matt. You were going to talk about the other type of loans that are available, or the other two of the 3 legs on the stool.
Yeah. So you have, I like that analogy. I use it a lot. 3 legs on a stool. So you have collateral. Everybody knows what collateral is. If you own a house, that's basically collateral, right? What most people don't realize, though, is there's different forms of collateral, right? If you own trucks or you own any yellow steel, we call it, in your business, if you're a construction company and you have dump trucks and you have excavators and you have high-end tools or servers that are, you can use that as collateral to a bank, right? What most people don't realize is that they have actually collateral and they don't even know it a lot of the time. So in that example that you used earlier, you were talking about to purchase, but now let's say you're selling to Walmart, right? You're selling t-shirts to Walmart. Walmart's not going to pay you for 60, 90, probably 120 days.
I was just going to say, if you're lucky, yeah, at a fraction of 2 cents on the dollar, right?
So you still got to provide everything, but you're not getting money in for 60, 90, 120 days. So you have a dormant piece of collateral on your balance sheet, right? Which is called accounts receivable. So you can actually collateralize your accounts receivable in order for a payment today, right? So that's always a good one that we look at. There's also other things out there where we can look at, which is ledger lines of credit that kind of work like AR financing, but we wrap every piece of collateral that you have, not just your accounts receivable, and do a standard rate for you. And then obviously you have credit, right? Credit financing is you got to have good credit, both in business credit.
Are we talking personal credit and business credit, or one or the other?
Both. It's important to have both, right? You have to guard your personal credit with your life and separate your business as soon as you possibly can. Okay. So like I said earlier, go out, get a bank account, also get a business credit card from that bank and start utilizing it, right? Start having your company be able to live and breathe on its own, right? And also you want to make sure these credit cards are not reporting on your personal credit as well. One big mistake that we see a lot of.
Wait a minute. Will they report on both? They'll report on my business side and my personal side, or will they just report on my personal side?
It depends on the card and it depends on the credit bureau that you're looking at, right? So a good business credit card will allow you to only show up on your business credit side, not your personal side, right? Because as business owners, a lot of the time what we wind up doing, because it's easy, is we swipe that credit card. Well, let me tell you something. If you're swiping personal cards, you're running up your utilization, right? So your utilization is going to be way off. Now, if it's on a business credit card and the right business credit card, it's never going to show on your personal side. Why does utilization matter? Because the higher the utilization, the lower your credit score, and it drops. So personally, if you want to buy a house, it could affect that. But now, even if you want to get a loan for the business and your personal credit score drop because of utilization on those cards, it's going to affect you getting the loan as well.
Got it.
So you need to build business credit and protect and build your personal credit consistently and monitor them.
Love it. These are really, really valuable insights for the business owner to be able to say, hey, this is a real entity I'm working with here, right? It's providing income for my family. It's providing income for my employees. It's providing services to the community. I've got to make sure it can stand on its own and live for a long time to service the community and the families that are depending on it. So I think this is a really good advice that you're sharing on here. So let's transition a little bit. So we know that there's credit and there's financing and there's things on there, but I think you've talked about loan side for the most part of this. How do we look at when loans don't necessarily work? Is there an opportunity to exchange maybe an equity piece for money coming in, or is that kind of a standard common, or is that kind of a not so standard common?
Well, you'll see a lot of professionals working on startups. And by professionals, I mean accounting firms, attorneys. They'll invest their sweat equity and know-how for a small percentage of either revenue share or profit sharing. So we've seen that occur. The initial startup phase for a business has to rely on the old bootstrapping. So yeah, you can look at the end of the day, if you don't have a provable concept or a viable business model, it's going to be difficult to have someone else believe in it. So as soon as someone tells me, well, I need you to invest in my business. Well, how much money have you put up? Oh, well, I need you to invest in my business. Well, when you have no skin in the game and you haven't even attempted to bootstrap, think of what the bootstrapping does. It allows you to work through the problems. It allows you to smooth the kinks, right? You're ironing things out. If you haven't done that yourself, how dare you ask someone else to help you work it out for you?
Exactly.
Right? So that's the critical part of the business. So I don't think anyone should invest in a company until they've attempted to bootstrap, because in that bootstrapping process, you've perfected your business model.
Right. But say we're a few years going, we've got some revenue going, so we're beyond the bootstrap, but we're trying
Now
to
we're
get to
talking.
that next scale, right? So most of my audience is already in momentum and they've already done the basic off of that. But so now we're scaling, we're going to that next level. I need to buy some additional equipment, or maybe I want to buy the warehouse, or something along that line that's going to really move me into that next level. Are we looking at equity positions often?
Well, that really depends on where the business is. Maybe it's not equity. Maybe it's profit sharing for a limited amount of time, right? Maybe in exchange for me lending you money, I'll give you a lower rate. You'll give me a warrant in the company, right? I'll take that warrant and it'll be exercisable, or I can put the warrant to you at a certain amount of time. But it's not just about the capital. This is where we actually roll up our sleeves and get strategic with the company itself. We're only going to do this with companies we know we could add value to. Okay. That's number one. If you come to me and you're looking like you're trading at liquidation value, right? But you do have a good team and you just can't afford us, because not everybody can afford us. It's just the way it is. And I like the company, and I like you, more importantly, is what it comes down to. I'm industry agnostic. You hear this, it's cliche, but it's really the truth. You bet on the jockey, not on the horse, right? It's so cliche, but it's also so true at the same time. We just did a deal with a person down in South Florida. They're a younger person. They have like 4 or 5 people working with them. Again, they couldn't get lending anywhere else. There was just something about them. I called Luigi up. I'm like, we're going to do this deal, right? And it's been great ever since. So we took a small piece of equity inside the company, and it'll grow as his line grows with us as well.
Nice. And I think that's that says a lot for the owner, but it also says a lot for you guys as characters. You're not just, I'm not just walking into Chase Bank and saying, hey, can I have $1 million to invest in my company and grow it? They're going to want to see that I don't need $1 million before they give me $1 million, right? That I've got all the resources and things put in place. But a company like yours, you're going to look between the trees, underneath the sheets, and kind of go, well, let's see how we can make this work. And you have more than one opportunity to do it. and different angles, and you could even with the right, situation, help a company out, which
Well,
is fantastic.
the whole idea is to, just put them on the right track so they can get bankable financing, right? And if the owner is coachable, right? That's really what it comes down to. And they listen to you. We know how we're going to have an exit for our money and our time spent in. So we're old school. Look, we don't believe we should get paid until the work is done. But the question to them is, where do I find this money to get you out at the end of the day? So we have a whole path to put them on. Call it the revenue roadmap.
Love it. Love it.
Marcia, there are also some opportunities out there, especially in these highly fractured industries. Oh boy, where do we start? HVAC companies, right? HVAC and plumbers, typical 3 to 5 man team, right? So let me give you a scenario. You've got one firm that only does installation and construction, but you have another firm that does maintenance, right? Lovely recurring revenue. Those two are marriages made in heaven, right? Veterinarian practices. I mean, every veterinarian practice in America is the sole vet with maybe one assistant, right? And how
Right.
far can you grow? How far will you travel with your dog to be treated? Half
Not
hour,
very far.
maybe 40 minutes, right?
Depends where.
How can you possibly grow? You can only grow geographically, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I could go on and on. So there are certain accounting practices,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
Tell me one publicly traded accounting practice. They don't exist. They're fractured, right?
Mhm.
Big ego, unga bunga. I am CPA. I know best. I know one partner. Okay, great. But the opportunities are there because you have a bookkeeping company, you have an accounting practice, maybe you have a tax planning practice. So your idea of the revenue sharing and the equity partnership, let's take that conversation a step further, right? Let's take these highly fractured industry and create these marriages made in heaven. I mean, this is like old-fashioned arranged marriage in 2024. I love that.
I love it. I love these ideas because this is really truly where that company, that guy, the business owner is living in this tunnel and only seeing what they can do rather the opportunities that the industry could provide them. And if, like you said, partnering or fracturing out and building new, I think it's fantastic. The opportunities are huge, which is what excites me as a growth strategist. What can we do, and how can it roll out with those ideas?
But the best part about that is if it's like Luigi said, a 3-person shop, they're trading at SDE, right? Basically what the owner's taking out of the company. If we can roll them up into another company, we're not going from 1 to 1. We're going from 1 to 4, right?
Mhm.
So if they're a little bit patient holding on, the revenue stream goes up. We can get a higher multiple, which means a higher exit for them at the end of the day.
Exactly. And, I love the analogy. Would you rather have 100% of one, or would you rather have, 50% of a dozen?
Right.
It's still more, it's a less number on top, but you're getting more and you're creating something that's sustainable and can continue for the years to come. Love it. All right, boys, this has been, I mean, we could probably do a dozen of these conversations on different pillars inside of your two companies or your company and the way that you help. But time is important. So where can listeners find out more about you, about financing, about the growth opportunities that you guys present and how you're helping small businesses?
Well, you can find us on our podcast. We're on Apple, every major podcast provider out there. It's the Liquid Lunch Project, or the liquidlunchproject.com is the website for the podcast. You could also find us on every social media platform there is. It is Matthew R. Meehan and Luigi Rosabianca and the Liquid Lunch Project as well. Now, what I want to do for the audience too is everybody really wants to know about financing and how do I get money. And then some people have credit issues. So we put out a free guide. It's called it's called the Business Insiders, Small Business Insiders Guide to Financing, right?
Nice.
It'll show you 6 ways to get funding for your business, even if you have no collateral and credit issues. You guys can just go to our website. It's www.shieldadvisorygroup.com. It's on the first page. You guys can download it for free. Utilize it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Luigi.
Love it. Love it. super valuable thing. Even, even if you don't need money now, you want to make sure that you're set up so that when you do need money, you're in a position to ask for it. And I think that's, the whatever the pound an ounce of cure or whatever that analogy is. But I think you've got to prepare beforehand. Just like if you're going to sell your company, you've got to be looking at least 3 to 5 years before you want to sell it to get all your ducks in line. It's like you got to be ready beforehand. So I think
Benjamin Franklin is still rolling over in his grave, dear.
Thank you. I'm terrible with quotes. Terrible with quotes. So, but I mean the concept's there, and I genuinely did it with heart, with love. So this is awesome. All right, guys. Hey, listeners, thanks for listening today. I hope you found an idea or two to put into your business that will help you be more profitable. And I know that we're all going to need financing sometime in our life, right? Unless you are that kind of unicorn that has grown a business from your bootstraps up to multi-million-dollar revenue without asking for help. Everybody needs help. It's normal. So listen to these guys, get their resources, find out what you need to do to get yourself in a better position. So when you do need those resources, you're going to be able to get it at the best price available. All right, as I mentioned before, how would you like to supercharge your business? Go ahead and download my new Profit Booster Playbook, packed with 3 profit strategies and the actionable steps that you can use to make this your most profitable year ever. Go grab it for free at boostingprofit.com. And Luigi and Matt and I would love to hear your questions. If you have any feedback, what kind of financing are you looking for? Hit us up in the comments for the podcast here and we'll respond. And while you're at it, subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows. And you always catch Profit with a Plan every Tuesday on all of your favorite podcast players. And we're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks, guys. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having us.